Well, here it is. You thought, ladies and gentlemen, you thought I was kidding when I made that community post say Trump is weaponizing cops, giving more, money, giving total power to go after people like I said there. Say, oh, if you stand up for your rights and say you have rights, well, guess what? You're going to jail. Yeah, the cops can do anything they want, just like the last story I did. But plainclothes broke into a woman's house, insulted her where she was taking a shower. Yeah, and she was, and thank goodness she was awarded some money, almost $200,000. Yeah, she deserved every penny. Well, we got a story right here. I kid you not. I kid you not. This is for real, ladies and gentlemen. Time to wake up. Pull your head out of your let the brain cells read. I kid you not. Check this out. Trump is appointed a prosecutor. Work to help abuse the cop who brutalized black woman. Yeah, Trump is appointing a prosecutor tried to help abusive LA cop. Well, that's what I was saying. He's helping dirty cops get away with it, whatever they can.
Well,
here it is.
Donald Trump appointed prosecutor is actively trying to help corrupt cops get away with corruption. Put up the picture for Mass.
Here it is.
Bill Saley, the new top federal prosecutor.
Saley, right
by
there.
Donald Trump in Los Angeles, is offering a controversial plea deal. The plea deal is for Mr. Trevor Kirk.
Trevor Kirk,
a former LA Sheriff's deputy convicted by a jury of felony use of excessive force. Against a black woman. So the prosecutor wants to allow him to plead guilty to a misdemeanor instead.
Yeah. And it's so funny was you got these pro-left, these leftist mega extremists. What was it just a couple months ago? Remember I just did a story about Ben Shapiro. Yes, Ben Shapiro wants Trump to exonerate. He wants to Trump to give all these dirty cops who are sitting in jail and prison to give them pardons, including Dante Chauvin, the guy that killed George Floyd. And we were trying to have the police reform, the George Floyd reform like that. Or there's more besides dirty cops out there that get away like that. Yeah, like Breonna Taylor. Yeah.
Let me give you the background. So this is called a post-trial plea agreement. Okay? Have you ever heard of a post?
Oh, yeah. What was it just a couple days ago, ladies and gentlemen? That 3 Memphis cops got found not guilty for unaliving and offing. Yeah, it was just a couple days ago.
Trial plea agreement? Probably not. In law school, I don't remember
Tyree Nichols.
Of a post-trial plea agreement because
just like when the 3 officers were found not guilty in Tacoma for unaliving, offing Manuel Ellis. How long did it take Kevin Days before he got fired from the Seattle PD when he ran over Genevieve Kandula with his squad car, and she was just a normal woman having a full life of her? 2 years. Yes.
It doesn't happen. But the Trump administration. So the unusual post-trial plea agreement obtained by Atlanta Black Star has prompted multiple assistant U.S. attorneys who prosecuted Deputy Kirk to quit. They have now resigned because of this ridiculous post-trial plea agreement. And the federal judge who presided over the case, it was a 3-day trial, is now asking, is this even legal? And has sent that inquiry to the U.S. Department of Justice. I'm going to give you details on the arrest. June 2023, Deputy Kirk, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy Felipe Alejandre Jr. responded to the robbery call at a grocery store in Lancaster. They came upon Mr. Damon Barnes, 56 years of age, who was carrying a cake he had purchased, and Houston, 58, who was sitting in a car. The two matched the description of the reported robbers according to the police. So police video showed that Deputy Alejandro detained Barnes with no incident. But prosecutors said that Deputy Kirk was unjustifiably violent with.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I remember this story because I did this about last year. This female was doing a First Amendment protected activity. What was that? Filming the cops while on duty. Protected on the First Amendment. She was breaking no law. She wasn't. She wasn't doing anything wrong.
Houston. And she got out of the car, was filming the arrest, telling the deputies they were on YouTube Live, according to Legal Affairs and Trials.com. Without giving her any commands, Deputy Kirk,
and this is what they did to her,
grabbed this black woman by her arm, hooked his hand behind her neck, threw her to the ground. A grand jury indictment stated. Then he threatened to punch her, placed his knee into her back, into her neck, and then he pepper sprayed the woman in her face. Not once, but twice. It sounds as if clearly the grand jury who saw the evidence, they said, yep, you got to indict. This cop has to go. Normative jury during trial, well, that cop guilty. Guilty as charged. Trump appointed prosecutor, I see a misdemeanor. After the conviction based on constitutionally mandated due process.
Yeah, and they're trying to strike. They're trying to strike it, and try moot the verdict. Like how it is sometimes to defend the prosecutor. Move the strike or set aside the verdict. And that's what they're trying to hope the judge do as well as too.
He was able to go through the process of.
Yeah, and this Trump appointed prosecutor is trying to make it to the point where, just a minute, Mr. Mayor, time served, maybe 6 months probation. Oh yeah. Can this officer can he get his job back too? While that, it's disgusting.
Facing his accusers. There's more. So the black woman who was brutalized received medical treatment at a hospital after the assault. She suffered a blunt head injury, contusions, and abrasions on multiple parts of her body. Ms. Houston and Barnes settled their lawsuit against both of the deputies and the sheriff's department for $3 million in March, defunding the police by way of the police, and are awaiting its approval from the LA County Board of Supervisors. That's according to Legal Affairs. Before his ultra-lenient plea deal was extended, the new Trump-appointed U.S. attorney for the Central District of California, Kirk was facing a sentencing hearing later this month in his criminal case before the U.S. District Court Judge Stephen W. Wilson, who had denied his motion for acquittal back in April. Kirk, who was, quote, relieved of duty in 2023, but is still employed by the sheriff's department, which is insane, had argued there was insufficient evidence to support the jury's verdict of felony excessive force. Insufficient evidence. You have to understand the irony of the argument. Insufficient evidence to support the jury's finding. The jury is considered the fact finders of the case. They are constitutionally mandated. They are typically statutorily required. And they are the judicial authority who are the fact finders for the case.
I think is so funny as well too. I mean, you got Trump and his left wing, his nutheads nowadays, and these pro thin blue line lovers in the Fraud Dweebs Network. They have the attitude like, oh, if the jury acquits, like finds a dirty cop now guilty, they'll say, oh, they got it right. The jury got it right. Oh, the cop was justifiable in all his action. But if the jury comes back guilty, say it's a misdemeanor felony, like, oh, they screwed up. They screwed up. Oh, we need to set aside the verdict. Oh, we need to have a mistrial. Oh, we need to strike it down.
Judge is not the fact finder. The prosecutor is not the fact finder. The jury is designated as the fact finder.
Yeah.
The government presents. Defense will defend. The judge is supposed to call the score, keep things even. But how can you win in a criminal justice system that already is significantly biased against certain demographics when a person can literally be convicted of felony, assault, and corruption while being a cop? It is corrupt to assault someone as an officer. And then a prosecutor comes in and says, oh, we're just going to do this over. So
basically,
Wilson,
it's just like, oh, we're going to come down and very mistrial and do it all over again.
There was, quote, citing extensive body cam footage that revealed he had made no effort to de-escalate the situation and instead used, quote, objectively unreasonable force against, once again, a black woman who was not armed, not attempting to flee, not attacking him, and not actively committing a crime.
Just doing First Amendment protected activity,
Kirk faced up to 10 years for his felony conviction. That's according to U.S. Sentencing Commission guidelines. He was facing up to 10 years.
10 years.
For
that's more time to Roy Oliver. That's more time to Amber Geiger.
It's more. The plea agreement filed last week says if Deputy Kirk pleads guilty to misdemeanor deprivation of rights under the color of law,
here comes.
The U.S. Attorney's Office will, quote, move to strike the jury's finding that he injured his victim, which made the crime a felony. The misdemeanor conviction of deprivation of rights carries a maximum sentence of 1 year. The government agreed to recommend a year probation. And federal prosecutors also are not barring Deputy Kirk.
So that means he can become a cop again. Listen to this. I knew it.
In law enforcement.
Here it is. Probation, he can become a cop again.
Doesn't have to accept the prosecutor's sentencing recommendation. This is an important part of the narrative. That's according to the proposed plea agreement, which specifies that Wilson, quote, may consider the stricken jury finding in determining the applicable sentencing guidelines range, the propriety and extent of any departure from that range, and the sentence to be opposed. So Judge Wilson is scheduled to take up the proposed plea agreement and sentencing on Kirk on May 19th. Now, a reminder, the judge is in a quagmire. This is such an unusual move from a prosecutor that the judge has inquired with the Justice Department, is this even legal, what this prosecutor is doing? Which means the judge has never had it happen there before, in court, never. And so the legality of this may be argued at the U.S. Supreme Court level at some time, definitely should. But the fact that it's happening, and don't think for 1 minute it's happening without Donald Trump being at least aware and support.
Trump's got his hands all over this.
And this is not about the microcosm of this cop. This is about the macrocosm of the culture of policing, in particular, policing that brutalizes black women, black men, and other historically marginalized communities. That is the message that this administration is sending. All right, dear brother, a lot of twists and turns here. What are your thoughts?
I think it's important for people to remember, and the audience here knows full well that one of the biggest parts of Trump's re-election agenda for 2024 was to strengthen police immunization.
Yeah,
just kind of pushing the idea that there's a war on police.
Yeah, and Brian, aka Here's the Deal, was doing a video about that. As a matter of fact, Chile, Deleted Laws was live about that a couple of days ago, going over that set and all that. And Trump has already noted and he's always put his footprint into it about, you know, giving more funds and ammunition, unlimited resources and whatnot to the police officers to do what they want. You know, let's talk about, oh, we're gonna make our country safer again and fight crimes. No, he's just giving more rogue power for dirty cops to do whatever they want. And like I said in my community post, hey, if you stand up for your rights, say I have rights, you exercise your First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, right? Guess what? Off to jail you go. That's what it is. He's just giving unlimited power to the cops.
Police, there's a war on authority in this country, and we got to bring that back so that we can, you know, shove people down and put them back in their place. And as you pointed out, that's really what the macro culture is. And, you know, I use this example often just in terms of how, you know, on the one hand, obviously the law enforcement is there to defend authority of the powerful, but also to defend property. I use the example of Montclair, is a township in New Jersey, and it's pretty wealthy, well off. You know, there's not much crime going on there, but they got their police municipality, their precincts have like tanks and all types of SWAT vehicles and just all types of things that you would think doesn't necessarily fit there, but it's to protect property just in case it's needed. And so it's just a endless cycle of abuse and, you know, pushing the idea that they're there to serve and protect, but we know who they're there to serve and protect, the rich and the powerful, and shove everybody else down in their place.
That's right. Well said. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come.
Yeah, they're here to serve protect. To serve protect by abusing and beating the crap out of you, and serve protect their fellow comrades in blue and their pension, their paycheck. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'm out of here, my job. Peace out.